Bonjour YouTube, welcome back to our channel. We're back in Paris today and we're going to be taking you to Val-de-Grâce, just behind us, which is also a museum of the health services of the armies. On y va! Today we're in Paris and we will be taking you to a place that definitely deserves more attention. We're going to former Abbey of Val-de-Grâce and the Army Health Service Museum, which is attached to the Army Health Service Application School. It occupies the Benedictine Abbey that was converted into a military hospital in 1793, an action that actually saved the building from the revolutionary destruction at the time. The Abbey fulfills Anne d'Autriche's solemn vow to honor the miraculous birth of Louis XIV, but more on that later. This architectural gem is unique in its own right, as it holds within itself royal devotion and, at the same time, medical heritage.
This museum was officially created in 1916 under the name of Documents and Archives of War as a result of multiple collections gathered throughout the 19th century by the doctors of the service. During the 1990s, the museum was renovated and became the Museum of Army Health Service in Val-de-Grâce. Since then, it deals with multiple subjects, including health support for the armed forces, research in psychiatry, underwater and aerospace medicine, and the development of maxillofacial surgery, just to name a few.
Speaking of the maxillofacial surgery, the presented wax models recall the development of this practice during the First World War. It's fascinating to look at, although one cannot help but feel extreme empathy for those poor individuals who had to endure such wounds. Countless historic documents, books and uniforms provide valuable context in the medical support for the armed forces during the different conflicts. Here one can learn about the process of collecting the wounded on the battlefield, evacuating and caring for them in rare hospitals on land, at sea and in the air. Several paintings enhance the events of the past, creating a strange juxtaposition to the rest of the items on display.
This is perhaps the first time we see art set side by side with medical instruments or models of parts of the human body. It is almost amusing and definitely fascinating to see how far the medical system has progressed. It makes us grateful to be living today and not a little over a century back. This reminds us of our other video from the Museum of Medicine in the Medical Faculty of Université Paris Cité that we published earlier this year.
As we walked through the cloister corridors, we saw multiple plaques that decorate the walls in homage to those army medical professionals who perished in different military missions. The doctors François and Jacques Debat pharmacy collection in the former Benedictine kitchens is particularly beautiful. Here you can see exquisite Italian and French earthenware alongside medical instruments. Renaissance majoliques from Faenza, Montelupo, De Ruta and Venice dazzle with their craftsmanship. 18th century tools are displayed with portable pharmacy kits, while ceramics from Lille, Rouen, Nevers, Nîmes, Saint-Cloud and the Far East enrich the exhibit.
We have been meaning to come to Église du Val-de-Grâce for a long time.
The Abbey of Val-de-Grâce was built in the 17th century in Le Faubourg Saint-Jacques, although its history can be traced all the way back to the 13th century. In 1619, Queen Anne d'Autriche, the mother of Louis XIV, declared herself protector of a small Benedictine monastery called Couvent du Val-de-Grâce de Notre-Dame de la Crèche in Bièvre-le-Châtel, near Paris. She tasked Michel de Marillac, who was what we would call today a Minister of Justice, with acquiring this site to transfer her monastery here. The transfer of the nuns took place with great solemnity on September 21st, 1621.
The Queen provided for the convent's expenses and came to stay and pray as often as possible with her beloved nuns. Taking advantage of these stays, she maintained a secret correspondence with foreign courts and especially that of Spain, where her brother Philip IV had become king. Led by her friend, the Duchess of Chevreuse, she joined the opposition hostile to Richelieu's policies. This turned out to be extremely serious as war had resumed with Spain and France had suffered the disaster of Corbie in 1636. A year later, in August 1637, the Val-de-Grâce affair broke out. Richelieu, aware of the Queen's actions, decided to intervene, ordering the Chancellor Pierre Séguier to conduct a search of the Val-de-Grâce.
Warned in time, the abbess hid the compromising documents. The queen, nevertheless embarrassed, confessed and was nearly repudiated, but Louis XIII pardoned her. After 20 years of marriage to Louis XIII, Anne d'Autriche was desperate for an heir. She made a promise to heaven to build it a magnificent temple, if France was granted a dauphin. On September 5, 1638, Louis Dieudonné, which literally means Louis God-given, was born at the Château de Saint-Germain-en-Laye. He would later become Louis XIV, the Sun King. Anne summoned François Mansart, the king's architect, and charged him with drawing up plans for the promised church and a new monastery. 7 years later, the young king laid the foundation stone of this church and sealed it with a gold medal. Due to technical difficulties and delays, Mansart fell from grace and was replaced by Jacques Le Mercier, who had just built the church of the Sorbonne. La Fronde delayed the construction further until 1655. The church was finally completed a few months before the Queen's death, and she had the joy of attending the first Mass celebrated there on March 21, 1665.
Val-de-Grâce symbolizes the Nativity and is the most sculpted church in France. This place feels like the pinnacle of French classicism Baroque architecture. The closest we can think of that we have visited would be La Chapelle Royale in Versailles. Link to that video is in the pinned comment. The choir is separated from the nave by the wrought iron gate by Christophe Delobel.
The circular medallions depict the evangelists, Saint Mark, Saint Matthew, Saint Luc, and Saint Jean, each accompanied by their apocalyptic animal. Look up a little higher and you are met with the inscription: Anna Austria, digifrancor reginig, rectrix qui subjesse Deus omnes hostes ut conderet domum in nomine suo amicidelle, which translates from Latin to modern English as Anna of Austria, by the grace of God, Queen of the Franks, regent, who with God's help subdued all enemies to establish a house in his name, 1650. This was in reference to La Fronde.
Now look straight up to marvel at the dome, with its fresco commissioned to Pierre Mignard. The theme here is glory, featuring more than 200 personages. Anne d'Autriche is depicted wearing the royal mantle, presenting the Virgin Mary with the model of the new Val-de-Grâce church. In the center, an archangel presents the book with the 7 seals. Below him is the 7-branched candelabra.
This immense composition was completed in 8 months. And even though Mignard was assisted by his friend Dufresnoy, it is simply mind-blowing. While they worked, the entire court came to admire them, including Bernini, who was then in Paris, working on his portrait of Louis XIV. By the way, we just published an episode about that particular event, and the exhibition that is dedicated to it in Versailles. The link is in the pinned comment below. The grand canopy is the other centerpiece of the choir. Gabriel Leduc created the original, but Anne d'Autriche never saw it as it was completed in 1669. Destroyed during the Revolution, the canopy was replaced under the Second Empire.
The sculptures depict the Virgin Mary and Saint Joseph admiring lovingly the baby Jesus. This 19-meter high canopy is supported by 6 twisted columns of green Brabançon marble with white veins that are adorned with bronze pomegranate and palm branches.
Something incredible happened with the marble flooring, the center motif in particular, which features the Queen's monogram surrounded by les fleurs de lys. Created by Roche de Chenois, it was providentially saved during the Revolution, thanks to the initiative of a sacristan who had the idea of covering it with a thick layer of lime. It was only rediscovered in 1822. Visiting Val-de-Grâce feels like we walked into a time capsule that somehow managed to remain the same, while being opened to the influences of time. It's been on our to-visit list for years, and thankfully, we finally made it.
So we ended up in Jardin du Luxembourg. We got some drinks as well, because it's so hot and there are so many people around. They're just getting tanned, having some drinks, and they're all relaxing. Anyway, so I was really fascinated by the church, and we just stayed up for 1.5 hours. It was worth it, literally, it was just wow.
And I got the book from the museum, only €5. It's about the actual church, Notre-Dame du Val-de-Grâce. And I think it's really cute. Only €5, why not? Actually, the entrance is also €5. so not expensive. Highly recommend this museum. Absolutely gorgeous church, of course. Beautiful, beautiful, exquisite details. It's still a functioning church, so there are like services happening. Today is Sunday, so it smelled like a proper, proper church smell. The scent that was there, highly recommended. Beautiful museum. Yeah, and now we're just relaxing here. We're having some drinks, relaxing. Everyone is out. People are tanning. We're not tanning because we already got a tan. We were in Lyon, and we got ourselves not burned, but we got a little bit brown. We will say we got brown, first red and then brown, without wanting it because we forgot to put SPF second time.
So that's it for today. We hope you liked this episode. If you would like to see more of this content, please don't forget to like, share and comment below. And until the next one, au revoir.